Welcome back everybody to another brand new video. So some of you will notice we've changed locations. We're in the workshop at my house at the bottom of the garden. So there's a project that's been sat here for years waiting to be done, and it's about time we get on it. So let's have a look at it, shall we? So when my granddad turned the ripe old age of 90, he had to give up golf, unfortunately. He was a member at the local golf club for 58 years, absolutely loved it. So Grandad, he was struggling getting around, he needed a mobility scooter, so I bought this off him, and then with that money, he got a little scooter so he could potter about with. He knows what I do at work, and he was like, "You're crap at golf, what are you gonna do with this?" And I was joking around, I was like, "Grandad, I'm gonna stick a motorbike engine in it so I can do burnouts and wheelies," which was quite good. So on his rounds, once a month, he used to come into work. "Hiya Paul, how's my buggy doing? Have you done it yet?" And I'd be like, "No, Grandad, it's still at home waiting to be done." And anyway, the years have gone past and it's about time we get it sorted. So looking at the buggy, it's a 2-cylinder petrol engine. It starts up as you press the throttle, and then it's just a 1-speed, does about 10 miles an hour, if that really. The engine is smoking its nuts off. All the tyres are perished and flat. The brakes are stuck on, the usual stuff. So I think we need to rip it all apart, get it down to its bare bones. Let's have some fun and see if we can make the ultimate golf buggy. So let's crack on. So the first thing we're gonna do is rip this buggy apart down to its bare bones. We're gonna get all the panel work off and then get it on the car lift. Now looking at the ride height, it's about a mile off the ground. You could almost roll around underneath it. So I've seen other YouTube channels, they stick a big bike engine in the golf buggy, but they leave everything else the same, and I don't really call that an ultimate golf buggy. So we want it to look cool when it's sat, but also do its job. So what I've gone and done, I've bought an air ride kit off a Harley Davidson. In fact, I've bought 2 of them, one for the front, one for the rear. So ripping this front suspension apart on the golf buggy, I noticed that all the old mounts were bent anyway. Just look at how wonky that front axle is. That's probably why when it was sat, it always looked weird at the front end. So I took the old leaf springs out the front axle and cut all the mounts off it, and then buying bits from eBay, made 2 front links. Then it was a case of just welding it on and then fitting it to our golf buggy. Next up, I welded some mounts on the body and on that axle, and then fitted our air suspension shocks. So hopefully I've done it all right and it's not going to drive up the road like this. So that's all done. Let's get cracking on the rear. So the rears on the golf buggy should be a lot easier to do because it's just a simple coil spring and a shock. So we can just rip both of those off and then grind those old mounts off, build up all the new shocks and offer them in place, and then just weld them in. Job's a good one. So we've gone from a golf buggy with a mile of ground clearance underneath it. It looked like a 4x4 to now, and it's on the floor, which is much better. We've gone as low as we can before the brake pedal and the engine basically bottoms out on the floor. But to me, it just looks like a lowered golf buggy. It's not modified enough. So I wonder, can we get some wheels for it? So I took the wheels back off and measured the stud pattern. It comes up at 101.6 mil. After a quick eBay search, I found it's actually the same as a classic Mini. So I ordered 4 of them in, and they actually fit on our studs. Proper mint. The only problem is the bearing center pokes through the middle of the wheel, so you can't have the center cap on, which looks a bit bad. And because the golf buggy's studs are a larger diameter, the wheel nuts don't actually fit in the holes. So I sorted this by ordering in some 1-inch mini wheel spacers, but because the stud diameter on a Mini is smaller, they don't fit on our golf buggy. So I had to painstakingly drill out all 16 of them and then re-tap that larger thread for our golf buggy in the back of them, which is a right pain. in these hardened studs. But after many, many hours of doing that, they fitted on our Golf Buggy and the wheels go on too. Future Paul here, just doing the editing. I forgot to say, there's no adverts in the middle of this video, so hopefully that deserves a little thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, it's free to do so, and it helps the channel out loads. The more interactions I get on the videos, the more YouTube pushes it. So that's enough for me. Let's get back to the video. Just have a look at them bad boys. Doesn't it look mint? Wow, not quite. Let's drop it down. There we go. That's much better. So tyres, standard mini tyres, they're quite tall, but managed to find some 195 50-10 that usually go on a trailer. So even though we've gone 2 inches bigger with the wheels, them little tyres keep the diameter the same as the ones that were on there. So I made a little boo-boo with the rear shocks because the axle swings down and away. I had to cut them back off and remount them so they actually work this time. And also, I've only got the air tank and compressor and everything jerry-rigged around the back just to see if it works, because the next thing we've got to fit is going to take up some space. So I bought myself a 2004 600cc Suzuki Bandit. Wow, or what's left of it anyway. It's pushing out nearly 100 horsepower, which will be more than enough for our Golf Buggy project. And also, that in there is going to sound awesome. But we've got a problem we've got to overcome. Not the size of the engine, because you can just cut stuff apart and make anything fit anywhere. It's how the engine powers that back axle. So let's go and have a look. So our Golf Buggy drives the back wheels via this bout here, and it's got a thing on it called a CVT. Now let me see if I can start it up. So the CVT has got centrifugal weights inside it that spin outwards as the engine gains revs. That slides it across the shaft, grabs the bout and gives us our drive. So the problem we've got is these CVTs are only rated to about 4,000 revs. Anything past that and the weights inside explode out of them. And our Bandit engine revs to 14,000 revs. That's nearly 3 times as much. So because of that, we definitely can't use this CVT. So we need to clear some space. So let's unbolt that engine and lift it out the way. Let's unbolt the rear subframe and lift the Golf Buggy up and over the top. And then that gives us much more room to work on. So we got this here. This is what the old bout went to. That spins and drives the rear wheels. I've got this, which is off the Suzuki Bandit, off the back wheel. I'm hoping to stick this where that is. Don't know how we're going to do it yet, but let's start ripping this apart. So I got the bout drive off and smashed the hell out of it to get this steel core out of it. And basically that has got the splines in it, goes on there, like that. And then that is going to sit there. So I think the technical term for this is a circular round holding thingy we need to make. So it's a trip to the blacksmith's. And all the blacksmith had was this absolutely gigantic piece of billet steel. So I whacked it on the lathe and started milling it down. So this piece of billet was 160 mil in diameter. Now I only needed 140 mil where the sprocket sits, and each end just had to go down to 55 mil. And after a solid day on the lathe, it looks like this. I'm really chuffed with how this turned out. It's the first thing I've made in ages, and it actually fits perfectly. I've left a little lip for the cog to sit on, and all the little holes line up perfectly to bolt that to it. And there we go, it's on. I was dreading this. This is what I thought was going to be the hardest part of the whole build, getting that bike engine to still use this back axle, but it's on there and it runs absolutely straight and true, which is awesome. Now this is the mock-up. Obviously I've got to take it all apart when I paint it. I'm going to weld the diff up because no one wants to see a Golf Buggy doing a one-wheel wheel spin. But yeah, we're well on our way now to building our ultimate golf buggy. So this is where you lot at home come in. By the time this video comes out, I'll be ready, I'll be on the body, I expect. So the wheels stick out slightly wider than the golf buggy. Would you like to see like a little body kit made out of steel, little arches and seal covers? Should I put a roll cage on it? What colour should I do it? So whatever your thoughts are, if it was yours, what would you do to it? Leave it in the comments and I'll go through every one and see which one gets the most thumbs up in the comments. And yeah, we'll go from there. But join us next time where we'll crack on with our golf buggy build. Thanks and see you again. Ta-da.